We know heavy red meat consumption is linked to heart disease, so health-conscious eaters often switch to the leanest cuts available to avoid the saturated fat. But trimming the fat does not automatically protect your heart. To understand why, we zoom past the visible fat down to the cellular level of the muscle fibers. Here, we find a hidden anomaly. This structure is Neu5Gc. It is a specific type of sialic acid, a sugar molecule, found naturally in the cells of mammals like beef, pork, and lamb. Humans actually possess a genetic mutation that makes it biologically impossible for our bodies to naturally produce it. This creates a unique biological glitch. Because our bodies don't make Neu5Gc, you would expect our digestive system to reject it entirely. Instead, our gut readily absorbs this foreign molecule, transporting it directly into our own tissues. Evaluating red meat requires looking past the standard calculation of fat and protein. Every time you consume it, you actively integrate a foreign biological structure directly into the architecture of your own human cells. Once that mammalian molecule is woven into your tissue, your immune system has to decide how to handle it. If we look at this animated diagram of a human cell, you can see the red Neu5Gc marker attaching to the outer surface. Because it is non-human, your immune system correctly identifies it as a foreign invader and generates circulating antibodies to bind to it. This triggers a condition called xenosialitis. Xenosialitis is a chronic, low-grade inflammatory process where your own antibodies continuously attack these newly integrated foreign molecules on your compromised cells. As the immune system relentlessly attacks the markers, it creates a pulsing inflammatory aura. Over time, that constant friction directly adjacent to the cell wall promotes the calcification and buildup of thick arterial plaque. You will not feel this happening. This is not an acute, painful allergic reaction. It operates entirely silently, damaging your tissue over decades of continuous exposure. We are still waiting on direct clinical trials to prove this exact causal chain in humans. However, laboratory studies on human-like animal models strongly demonstrate that this specific antibody reaction actively accelerates atherosclerosis. Regular red meat consumption inadvertently turns your vascular tissue into a permanent target for chronic immune attack, setting the stage for long-term heart disease. While the biology of inflammation paints a grim picture, the clinical data reveals a highly effective biological shield, plant-forward diets. This data matrix represents 844,000 participants, sorting them into non-vegetarian and vegetarian columns. Isolating the vegetarian column shows a 15% lower risk of cardiovascular disease. For ischemic heart disease, the risk drops even further by 21%. We can connect this clinical success directly back to the biology. Plant foods contain absolutely zero Neu5Gc. Eating them immediately stops the influx of the foreign molecule into your body. Beyond stopping the immune trigger, plant-based diets actively lower your LDL cholesterol and improve your blood pressure, adding layers of independent cardiovascular protection. Neu5Gc provides the microscopic explanation for why meat damages the heart. But these massive human datasets prove that adopting a plant-based diet acts as a highly effective clinical defense against that damage. This raises the obvious question: if your tissues are already compromised by decades of eating red meat, is the damage permanent, or can you clear the Neu5Gc out? The answer is yes, you can clear it. But biology dictates a strict prerequisite. Healing only begins when you completely halt the dietary intake of new Neu5Gc. This timeline graph tracks the tissue Neu5Gc burden over several months. Once you cut the supply, the line steadily decays. This happens through apoptosis, the natural process where old or compromised cells safely self-destruct and are systematically replaced by fresh, healthy cells. We have to acknowledge the friction here. Completely stopping red meat requires serious discipline. It means adjusting how you socialize, entirely relearning your grocery habits, and overcoming deep culinary routines. To minimize that culinary friction while securing the biologic payout of cellular clearance, you need high-return dietary swaps. Looking at this comparative quadrant chart, we can map out how to safely satisfy those cravings. First, look at hearty meals. By substituting beef chunks with lentils or mushrooms in a heavy stew, you retain that savory umami flavor profile while dropping your Neu5Gc input straight to zero. Second, when you want fast food, replacing a traditional beef burger with a heavily seasoned black ding or high-quality plant-based patty satisfies the immediate craving safely. There are trade-offs. The texture will be slightly different, and you will need to check the sodium labels on processed plant patties. But the crucial benefit is that you entirely eliminate the Xenosialitis immune trigger. The daily practical effort of choosing these simple plant-based swaps buys your body the time it needs to naturally purge its tissues of inflammatory molecules. We have to map the biological reality of Neu5Gc against the clinical evidence of plant diets to find the exact strategy for your specific risk profile. This decision tree maps out 3 distinct pathways, depending on how aggressively you want to protect your vascular tissue. The top pathway is for the preventative optimizer, leading straight to complete elimination. This means adopting a strict whole food plant-based diet. The lifestyle friction is high, but it delivers the absolute highest biological return for longevity by ensuring 0 Neu5Gc enters your system. The middle pathway is for the at-risk pragmatist, requiring an aggressive shift. This involves severely limiting red meat and prioritizing plant-forward meals. You will have to relearn some grocery habits, but you actively mitigate imminent disease risk by drastically dropping cholesterol and ongoing inflammation. The bottom pathway is for the reluctant omnivore, relying on strategic dilution. This strategy utilizes simple one-to-one swaps, like eating bean chili instead of beef chili 3 days a week. Your cellular clearance will be slower, but it offers high long-term adherence without feeling totally deprived. Neu5Gc is an invisible biological enemy driving chronic inflammation, and whole plant foods act as the proven cellular cleanup crew. You must now choose your daily input based on the exact heart health outcome you demand.